China-Pakistan economic corridor is expected to be a game changer, from connecting China's western region with Pakistan's port of Gwadar to energy and transportation projects. We'll discuss the benefits and challenges for both countries. Hello, I'm Ngai in Washington, D.C., and this is The Heat. The China-Pakistan economic corridor is described as the single biggest comprehensive project between any two countries. China is investing some $50 billion in Pakistan to create highways, railways, power plants, and industrial parks. All the investment is expected to improve Pakistan's economy and promote connectivity in South Asia with China's One Belt, One Road initiative. CGTN's Daniel Khan spoke with the chairman of CPEC in Islamabad about this mega project and what it means for Pakistan.
When President Xi Jinping came to Pakistan in April 2015, he signed 52 agreements with Pakistan. And the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a strategic national project spread over the next 15 years with a volume of about $50 billion. So it's huge. It's infrastructure, it's energy, it's Gwadar port, it's special economic zones and industrial parks. So you're talking of a new level, a new grand scale of cooperation.
Well, joining us now in our Washington, D.C. studio is Cecilia Ma. He's an assistant professor at Frostburg State University. From Islamabad, we're joined by Ume Farwa. She's a research fellow with the Institute of Strategic Studies in Islamabad. Also with us is Song Zhang. He's a chief correspondent with Shanghai Wenhui Daily here in Washington, D.C. And Andrew Small is a senior transatlantic fellow in the Asia program at the German Marshall Fund and author of the China-Pakistan Axis, Asia's New Geopolitics. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Hey, Ma, let me start with you. So we have this major project between China and Pakistan known as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, it's also known as. It's been cited as a good example of South-South cooperation. What's been achieved so far?
I think the first purpose of this grant project is to help Pakistan develop the economy, to stabilize Pakistan's situation, and also, of course, to expand the Chinese economic power through Pakistan to Indian Ocean, to Middle East, and also beyond. So here, this is a pilot project to symbolize that China really cares about neighboring countries, especially Pakistan.
Okay, let's go to Farwa in Islamabad. And Farwa, Pakistan faces some major challenges in its economic development. One of them are power outages that the country faces periodically. The other is investment. The other is political stability. How does this Chinese investment in the country, this entire project, help Pakistan meet those challenges?
Well, it helps on a lot of levels. I do believe that as an individual or as a citizen of Pakistan, I see that Pakistan has been facing a lot of challenges for a couple of decades. First of all, I would like to comment on power crisis. Pakistan has faced so many damages due to this challenge. We have faced our industry. It's been on very it has moved to other countries, and Pakistan, for all these issues, it has been a country where foreign investors shy away from it. So with all these things, we see that good things are happening to Pakistan, and Pakistan has recently been ranked as an emerging economy by MSCI, and Pakistan has been attracting a lot of foreign investors. It is helping Pakistan on so many levels, on economy, on domestic issues, and political stability. Yes, what Pakistan wants is development and progress, and CPEC, it is all about all these progresses, directly and indirectly. There are so many benefits that Pakistan will accrue from this project. Well, I must say that it is such a mega project that Pakistan has translated with its dear friend China into a huge opportunity to transform its economic landscape and take it to the level that we cannot imagine before.
Right, Song, one of the pillars of the CPEC project, something that we mentioned at the introduction, is the development of Pakistan's Gwadar port. It's seen as a cornerstone, a pillar of the project. Why is the development of that port so important?
I think strategically, Middle East is very crucial for China. And with Gwadar port, China will have a very important alternative access to the region. And from transportation point of view, this Gwadar port, together with CPEC, will provide China a much shorter kind of road transportation for energy import from the Middle East. And from economic point of view, China will have more access to the Middle East countries, to Iran, to Afghanistan, to Saudi Arabia, and I will see the regional economic cooperation and integration to be much more better with the support of Gwadar port.
So in a sense then, China is looking far beyond just developing this port for Pakistan. It's looking to other parts of the world as well.
Yes, correctly. And I think China has a lot of economic interest and also a diplomatic interest with not only Pakistan, but also other Gulf countries in the region and even Eastern African countries.
Right, Andrew, when we look at investment, there was an article in Bloomberg last November which said that after years of what it termed flat investment, it's taken China's pledges of billions of dollars to get overseas companies to look at these challenges that existed in Pakistan and to start investing money right now. Reuters reported that Western investors have previously avoided Pakistan because of security threats, because of instability. But with this Chinese investment, is that now changing?
It's starting to catalyze new investment. Pakistan's economy going into the sort of mid-2000s was actually growing at about 7-8%. Then after the level of security problems that the country faced from about 2007, particularly on maybe a little earlier, the growth rate really took a hit and foreign investors were scared away. CPEC is probably the first really major image-changing shift for Pakistan. The security situation has been improving there already. It had improved in the last couple of years. The number of terrorist attacks had already come down markedly. So the climate for investment and the security conditions on the ground are much better than they were at the peak of the internal crisis. For now, a lot of the new investment that's coming in is still largely under the auspices of CPEC. The hope and the success of CPEC will probably depend on it being able to crowd in other investors as well. And there is clearly interest. There's interest from other European investors. There's interest from Gulf investors as well. And so the hope, I think, for CPEC is that it will really lay the groundwork for a broader return of the foreign investor community to Pakistan that has been nearly a decade, really, of being too skittish to commit.
Right. Hey, and Ma, of course, China's signature regional development program is the One Belt, One Road initiative. How does this CPEC fit into that?
As I mentioned, CPEC is basically a pilot project along this One Belt, One Road initiative. And also, given the historical contact, China and Pakistan has been a friend for a long time, for several decades. So now if you have a successful CPEC in Pakistan, which basically I think will encourage other countries surrounding China or beyond Middle East, Africa, especially if you look at other regions and countries, many of these countries and regions face a political instability and even sometimes security issues are challenged. So that's what CPEC, I think, to some extent is a model. It's a pilot project, but basically to not only China, but Pakistan and also other countries in Central Asia to look, all countries can actually build economy, can transfer country into a economy, especially like Pakistan.
Right. Farwa, if we look at this from Pakistan's point of view, here we have China, which is coming in with this kind of investment to build roads, railways, industrial parks, power plants, and things like that. But what kind of challenge would there be for the Pakistan government to provide the kind of security that would be needed for these projects to flourish, for economic development and growth to take place?
Though there were a lot of challenges, but with the commitment of Pakistani government and Pakistani army, we have resolved a lot many issues. I have been in a seminar recently, Pak China think tank seminar that was held last year in Beijing. I met one of my fellow over there who was a Chinese. He worked over here. He told me that Farwa, I feel too much protected in Pakistan. That's the case with all other personnel too. Pakistan has raised Special Security Division, which composed of 9 security composite army battalions. Then Pakistan has raised special TORs, and Pakistani Navy, it is on guard to secure trade lanes, sea trade lanes. And then we have established other special security divisions by civil armed forces. This is another wing of Pakistani forces which are supposed to secure all these projects. Well, but I must commend that these issues of terrorism, it is not something which is only happening to Pakistan. Even Brussels is not safe. But with the commitment of Pakistani government and civilian government, we can hope a lot. And I think that this issue has been tackled with the commitment of these two wings of Pakistan government.
Right, Song, this is a regional development project, but there is one major power in Asia which is not very enthusiastic about CPEC, and that is India. India has a problem with that because the corridor runs through Kashmir, and of course that's a disputed territory. What can China and Pakistan do to allay the concerns that India has?
Yes, I think India has been having very complicated attitude toward this CPEC project, and they, from one angle, hope to see stability and the transportation establishment and also economic growth in the region, and they will benefit from that. But from another angle, they are worried some of their own concerns. One is about this Kashmir issue. And I think the most important issue is for China and also Pakistan to assure that this CPEC will not touch the sovereignty issue of Kashmir.
That's the issue, right? Sovereignty is the issue.
And I have heard Indian side has been asking different things on this issue from Chinese side, like they wanted less investment from Chinese side on this Kashmir territory, and they also want this line of CPEC to be a little bit adjusted to make it short, at least in Kashmir area. I think China will spend a lot of energy and time to assure that in the future CPEC will be very helpful for Indian economy, and also this dispute on Kashmir will be not so much relevant when it comes to India.
Andrew, just as we mentioned a moment ago, China is looking at this project not just in Pakistan but beyond Pakistan as well, with the development of Gwadar, the port over there. Now, the Iranians want to be part of that project as well. There's been talk of Gwadar and the Iranian port of Chahaba supplementing each other in maritime trade. What are the chances of that happening and Iran being incorporated into this project?
Well, there have been quite advanced discussions between the Iranian and the Pakistani side about coordination, not just of Gwadar and Chabahar, but the CPEC and broader integration from Iran into the project. There is, of course, some sensitivity about this issue. India is investing in Chabahar, and there are some who would like to see Chabahar function a bit more as a rival to Gwadar. But in fact, there's actually some quite good reasons to see the two ports as functioning on a complementary basis. Gwadar is a deep water port. It can actually function as a more effective transshipment hub for some trade for Chabahar, which is not. In some respects, both ports can help galvanize some economic development in the Baluchistan provinces that span the two sides. And I think in practice, at an official level, the inside the countries, there is an attempt to try to push the coordination element rather than the competition element, which I think still it exists more in the minds of strategists than I think some of the economists and logisticians and the people that are actually working on these projects on the ground.
Okay, we are going to take a break right now. Next, we'll discuss how the China-Pakistan economic corridor could bring an infusion of jobs. Stay with us, you're watching The Heat. Welcome back to The Heat. Ahsan Iqbal, Pakistan's Minister for Planning and Development, believes the China-Pakistan economic corridor could create some 2 million new jobs in Pakistan and bring prosperity to a whole region. China is investing some $50 billion in energy, transportation, and infrastructure. Let's get back to our panel right now. And Farwell, let me start with you this time. I mean, when you look at a project of this magnitude, we sometimes get lost in the numbers and the projects that are being developed. But when we look at the tangible benefits to the Pakistani people, what kind of impact is CPEC going to have on the job market?
Well, it's going to have an enormous impact on the job market. Pakistan's job market, due to CPEC, it has seen an expansion. Our real estate industry, our retail industry, it has experienced such an increase that it has never experienced before. For example, you see there's a small project. I won't say there's a small project, it's a large project. It was third project, a coal-powered third project, which was carried out by a third Anglo company. Here, due to this project, the local Tharis, which otherwise could not have imagined to work in these areas, they are working on it. And according to CEO of Thar SEMC, he says that it is going to be a game changer for Thar and other business community as well. So there are a lot of opportunities that CPEC is creating indirectly and directly. When roads are built, business prop up. And when you see Pakistan has enormous potential in knowledge economy. You see Pakistani software, they have been hired, they have been ranked as, they have been hired by companies, by USA, Australia, and other IT developers. So we can use this potential. And for Dawn reports recently that by 2030, CPEC will create 1 million jobs by 2030. It's an enormous potential for the potential reservoir of Pakistan that we have today. But due to the limited options that we had before, we would not be able to compensate this potential reservoir. But with this, it is going a lot. It is improving a lot, and people are seeing benefits to it. In Gwadar, people are buying land. They are acquiring lands, and this is in all the projects. For example, in special economic zone, the rates of property, it has increased. It is all because of CPEC, and people are getting benefits from it. So it's a huge opportunity.
Andrew, one quick question on the job market in Pakistan. How important is it for foreign investors when they look at Pakistan as an area where they want to put their money to have this pool of qualified talent, people who can fill these jobs that they're providing?
Well, I mean, there is then a question on some of the CPEC projects. What kind of labour do you need for right. some of these projects? So, I mean, the first phase of CPEC is largely the energy projects and the infrastructure projects. There's actually a pretty decent pool there for a number of those projects. The next phase, which is the industrial parks and things, there's actually a lot of planning underway at the moment as well to do more training in some of the specific skills that are needed for some of the new businesses that are supposed to come online, even language training, of course, which is taking off in Pakistan as well. And so I think, I mean, there is a large pool of talented labour in Pakistan, but there are some specialist skills that need to be developed. There are still challenges in the education system in Pakistan that need to be addressed to really be able to make a success of this venture.
Hey, Ma, the Chinese government recently announced that it will be investing nearly $27 billion to create a highway network in Xinjiang province. This, of course, is an expanding transportation network in that particular region. It's a very remote region, but it forms a large part of China. What will this do for China and Pakistan and for CPEC?
If you want to have a successful CPEC between China and Pakistan, of course, you have to build Chinese domestic transportation system. As you know, Xinjiang actually is divided by the Tengri Mountain, the
Right.
Tian Shan Mountain. So Xinjiang is basically divided as north and south. So that's why you have to build good infrastructure, transportation system.
And at the moment, there is just one major transportation link.
Well, you do have like an airport, you do have like
Right.
railways, you do have like a road. But think about if you have a large quantity of products from Pakistan to transport to interior China, you have to cross either Taklamakan Desert or from south to North Xinjiang. So that's why you have to build a Xinjiang infrastructure transportation first, then connect with Pakistan. So that's why we see the holistic upgrading our building of infrastructure, not only in Pakistan, between Pakistan and China, but also in China, especially Xinjiang province.
Okay, Andrew, this growing relationship between Pakistan and China, what does it mean for the United States?
I mean, the United States, despite, I think, some rumors about its attitude to CPEC and some of these projects, has largely been supportive of this. The US has been asking for a number of years, actively encouraging China to invest more in the sorts of energy projects and things that are being undertaken under the auspices of CPEC. The US had wanted to expand the level of civilian support that it was providing. The Kerry-Lugar bill was supposed to do a lot of that, but it's dwarfed in scale by the kind of investment that's coming in from the Chinese side now. And a lot of the US officials knew they would never be able to put together the sort of package that's being envisaged by this. So quietly, because there are the sensitivities, as you mentioned, with India, which is a close partner, of course, for the US, I think quietly there's a level of cooperation and coordination that's underway on that. During President Obama's visit to the Hangzhou summit, in the joint statement that was agreed, although Pakistan isn't mentioned formally, there is a section that is specifically about clean energy cooperation on CPEC projects. Now, with the new Trump administration, of course, as with so many other policy areas, we don't yet know how this will pan out. But in terms of the sort of long-term arc of how, say, the US bureaucracy has looked at this, I think this is the form of cooperation between China and Pakistan, unlike, there are areas of sensitivity on the military side, but this form of economic cooperation, I think for the sake of Pakistan's long-term stability, the US is pleased to see this.
And Farwa, how does the Pakistanis see this? Is it a bit of a balancing act for Pakistan? Do they see it that way, that they want to expand this relationship with China, a regional partner, as well as keep the relationship, or perhaps expand the relationship with the United States as well?
Yes, why not? United States can help us a lot, and this is what we have been looking for, for decades. What our slogan was, trade, not aid. Well, but you see that United States can help us a lot. It can help us build a knowledge corridor that we needed, and we are planning to build it with the US. So in special economic zones, we can build universities. We can use our potential reservoir in it. So a lot United States can help, but all it needed to make us self-sufficient and help us develop and improve along this path that we are expecting to be on. So there are other, I say that in technological expert, and there are other expertise that United States can provide to us. There are many things that United States can help.
So what is the level of Chinese military and security cooperation with Pakistan?
I think China is one of the major security and military partner of Pakistan. We have been supplying tremendous ammunition to Pakistani side. And also China is trying to help Pakistan in some other platform, like Pakistan is now a member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And this platform will provide Pakistan with different like anti-terrorism operations. And also China, Pakistan, and even America are working to this anti-terrorism operations in the region. Just last week, we see the joint military exercises organized by Pakistan, participated by China, America, and other countries.
Hey, Mark, one question, and this is a bit of a philosophical question. You know, China refrains from making political judgments in its relationships with other countries, believing that the way to meet global challenges is through economic development.
Yes.
Is that something that is catching on around the world?
Well, I think the Chinese developmental approach now began to CPEC, One Belt, One Road initiative, I think basically try to project Chinese developmental approach. Pakistan is a good example, where you have terrorism, you have tribal, you have central government, conflict. So that's why if you have a successful CPEC, if you have a successful economic restoration to transfer Pakistan from a disorderly society, if you will, to a successful economy, then China benefit, Pakistan neighbors will benefit, and the whole region will benefit. So that's why here I think a CPEC is basically it's kind of implementation of China's development approach.
Okay, that's where we have to leave it. Thanks to all of you for being with us.